So family values are really important in Hawaii. My son just turned 2 and we're expecting our second child really soon. And what I found is that there's a lot of pressure out there as a young dad, especially here in Hawaii. Of course, there's a financial pressure of wanting to provide for my wife and kids, but there's also the responsibility of making sure that I, as both husband and dad, create and foster a good family environment by figuring out what our family values are. About a year ago, I saw this sign at a local farmer's market. It's from Gifts by the Sea, a local Hawaii business that specializes in Hawaii signs. And this is their most popular sign, and they even had to trademark it so that people wouldn't copy it. By the way, I think this will make a great Mother's Day gift, so I want to check it out. I'm not sponsored, but I will put a link to their online store below. What I love about this sign is that it describes in our own little Hawaii way certain family values that we strive to uphold. And we're not always perfect, but we try. So I want to briefly unpack and explain what these 11 ohana rules or values mean to me, because while it's not a complete list of all the values that I'd like to uphold for my family, I think this is a great starting point. And as my wife and I are developing our own family values, I'd love to hear some of your family values in the comments below. Say please and mahalo. Basically, say please and thank you. People in Hawaii are generally friendly, and that friendliness comes with certain pleasantries. When I was growing up, my dad made us say 5 things. Please, thank you, you're welcome, hi, bye. And having these types of manners in Hawaii goes a really long way. I mean, maybe you felt like when you go into a big crowded room, no one notices you, and then you just sort of like shut down. But it's when I get uncomfortable and then put myself out there to say hi, or when I just want to leave an event quietly without anyone really noticing me, but then I muster up that courage to just say bye to a few people before I leave. It feels good because most people are going to say it back to you. And if that person doesn't respond back, well, they're the bad guy, not you. So yes, please and thank you are very important here. No hit nobody. This is the equivalent of keep your hands to yourself. I mean, I'll admit that I did my fair share of fighting with my brother, and I'm sure that my sons will probably do their fair share of fighting. But I just hope that I can pass along what my dad taught me. I mean, after a big fight between me and my brother when we were younger, my dad would sit us down and he would say, get along with each other, because it's only gonna be the 2 of you when we're gone, referencing him and my mom. And as I've gotten older and the fights became less and less, my brother and I have actually stayed close. I'm glad that my parents are still around now, but even after they're gone, they'll know that me and my brother are gonna take care of each other in the future. So no fighting. Shoot for the moon. This is dream big. Family is where you can share your dreams and have those dreams nurtured and supported. I mean, it's a pretty rough world out there, and there are plenty of people who will tell you to not even try, or what are you doing that for, or what you're gonna do, it doesn't matter anyway. But I believe that family should be there to encourage you to pursue your dreams, even when those dreams may change. There was a time that I wanted to be a golfer and a volleyball player and even a magician. And as random as those interests may seem, my parents were there to support me and encourage me to dream as big as I wanted. When I wanted to be a top golfer, my dad took us to practice every single day after school for years. And when I wanted to be a volleyball player, my parents signed me up for clinics and even got me this jump sole shoes so I could work on my vertical jump. And when I wanted to be a magician, my family would let me practice my tricks over and over and over on them. So I want our family to be a place where our sons can share their dreams, big or small, and that we're here to help them achieve it. Use all your mana. This is give your best effort. And there are days when it's really easy to slack off and call it in. But I'm learning as a husband and dad that I really need to be at the best for my wife and son and soon sons. And that even when I'm tired after a long day at work and I hear my son yelling through the front door, I have to take a deep breath and just give it my best. And doing your best doesn't always mean winning or succeeding. I think these days we're in a very result-oriented society where all that matters is the outcome, or all that seems to matter is the outcome. And so you have people who will cheat or cut corners because all they want to do is win. All they care about is the result. And if we have that attitude and apply it to the family, it's a very performance-oriented environment that makes family seem like a business. Like, we equate love with high results and less love with lower results. But I think sometimes we overlook just the effort that's even given there. And family's not a business, and we have to at least acknowledge people's efforts, even when they may disappoint us. Always talk story. All right, talking story is a big part of Hawaii's culture. We didn't talk story too much when I was growing up, at least within my immediate family. I mean, we were really busy with sports after school, so we didn't come home until like really late, and then there was dinner, and by then it was time to go to bed. But as I've gotten older, we talk story a lot more. Like me and my parents, we talk story a lot. Like the other weekend where we spent time with my parents, we just sat around the table and our phones were gone and we just talked about the news or current events or politics or small kid times, and we just lost track of time, and that was really nice. And I've had wonderful conversations in the past with friends when it feels like time just goes by so quickly. Like you're sitting outside on the curb and you just talking story, and it just goes back and forth, and sooner or later it's like 3 hours went by and neither person is tired. And I found that finding that flow of talking story is really special, because when you are talking story with someone, you really trust them. You become so comfortable with them that it's just casual talking about whatever, and the conversation just goes all over the place sometimes. And over the years, I've had wonderful conversations with friends and family and strangers, often at Zippy's or just in front of someone's house. And I know this is a tough one now that there are smartphones and iPads and there are so many distractions, but talking story is something that I want to try and leave more room for. Say sorry when you're wrong. So this is a big one. There are going to be conflicts in a family, and I want to make sure that for our family, sorry is a word that is used often, but also meant often. As society, I think, becomes less empathetic, apologies just aren't meaningful because we suspect that the other person just doesn't mean it. When they bump you in the streets, oh, sorry, and they just go on their way. Saying sorry is humbling and places you in an indebted state in relation to the other person, but I think that that's okay. I mean, you did something wrong and should acknowledge that, and they should accept that apology. And maybe it's not right away, but hopefully at some point. And saying sorry is something that I know I can't be afraid to say to my sons, because there's gonna be times when I'm wrong and I need to tell them that I'm sorry. And I think that it shows that I'm not perfect, of course, and that it's actually a sign of strength to be able to admit when you're wrong. Kiss auntie and uncle. All right, this means to greet not just your biological auntie and uncle, but basically everyone. Hawaii has a friendly culture where everyone is auntie and uncle to someone. I mean, even strangers. And it's important to greet them properly here. For aunties, there's usually a kiss on the cheek that is more for show, but it's still important. I mean, you basically missed the entire cheek and you made this loud smack sound, but it's really just a modified hug. And of course, for uncles, there's the usual Hawaii handshake, which is that combination of a bro hug and feely fingers. I realized that last week was the first time in nearly 2 years that I greeted an auntie with a kiss on the cheek. And it felt great because it was like life was going back to normal. Nobi hai maka maka. Basically, don't act like you know everything and that you are all that. And you think that this wouldn't be a problem in Hawaii since everyone is so friendly. However, there are some people who are a little too full of themselves, and you know, when they eventually fall off of their pedestal, that's when you're gonna hear all the aunties and uncles talk behind their back and say, ah, good for them, or bachi. Because nobody likes a show off or someone who thinks they know everything. I mean, quiet humility can go a long way. As a family, I want to make sure that we celebrate accomplishments from, you know, good grades to personal achievements, but we'll have to make sure that we celebrate with humility and grace. Be Aloha, Pono, and Akamai. Be accepting and loving, be righteous and balanced, and be smart. Aloha is such an interesting concept here because it's truly a spirit, and you can see it in some people. It's like this amazing friendliness and acceptance free of judgment. One of my teachers in elementary school truly had the Aloha spirit. She was this like Filipino Hawaiian lady who had like this kind of thick accent, but you could still kind of understand her. And she was so warm and kind, and every time you saw her, she just wanted to give you a big hug, and she often did. And this aloha spirit will be more important now than ever. And the only way that aloha gets passed on is if it's taught and demonstrated to the future generations, and that's where we come in. We also want to make sure that we live a righteous and balanced life. Now, that doesn't mean self-righteous. It just means that you do the right thing for yourself and for others. It doesn't mean being perfect, but it means knowing right from wrong and trying to do your best to do right. And being Akamai is about making smart choices. It's about listening to the wisdom of others if you aren't sure, and just trying to view the situation beyond its self. And these are hard things to do in the moment of stress and intense immediacy, but it's so important to keep a balanced life. No lie or be Lolo. Don't lie or be stupid. I mean, we all lie, but we don't all have to be stupid. This value is about thinking before acting, to critically think about your actions and how they may affect yourself, but more importantly, others. And this takes a tremendous amount of empathy. My sons don't need to have a 4.0 GPA in the future. It would be nice, but not necessary. Rather, I'd be more proud of them if they learned to think critically and had empathy towards others. And those are things that don't show up on the report card, unfortunately, but it's what's gonna build good character. Always throw Shaka. Ooh. The Shaka is such an important part of Hawaii's culture. It's both a greeting and a sign of gratitude. And you'll see it often as you drive, as a thank you for letting someone go. But more importantly, the Shaka brings us together. It is Hawaii's physical mantra. When people take group pictures, you'll often see that people are throwing up the Shaka. And hey, don't abuse it to get away with things, but just make sure you give out that Shaka as a thank you. So these are the family values that we can only hope to strive for as local families. Not always perfect, but we can try. So thanks for watching, and aloha.